All right, so here's your quiz for lessons 1.3 and 1.4, and then we'll start our actual lesson in 1.5 in pre-algebra. All right, there's your quiz. If you're at home, you pause here, take the quiz right now, and then we'll correct it. Okay, here we go. Let's correct this. All right, whenever you substitute a number for a variable, how do you do it? Do you remember what the rule is? You substitute it by putting it in parentheses, right? You always plug it in and put it in parentheses. You just do. So here's the deal. Let's plug this in. Number one, z divided by 5 plus 2 for z equals 10. What you're going to do is rewrite z divided by 5 plus 2. Instead of z, you put 10. So let's do that. 10 divided by 5 plus 2. What do I do next? Yeah, there's a division problem and there's an addition problem. You do the division first. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. The answer to number 1 is 4. Okay, it's dot or a slash. Number 2. Let's plug it in parentheses. So I have 5 times, what's y equal to? 3 in parentheses, 3 plus, what's z equal to? 10. What do I do next? Do I do 5 times 3? No, why? What do I do? Order of operations, I look for parentheses. I have 3 plus 10. What's 3 plus 10? 13. So I have 5 times 13, which is 65. The answer to number 2 is 65. Number 3, 16 minus 4m, m is 0 and n is 3. So I have 16 minus 4 times 0 times 3. Do you see, all I did was I rewrote the problem. Instead of the variables, I put in the numbers in parentheses. Do you see what I'm talking about? You see it? Okay. What do I do next? Do I go 16 minus 4? Why not? Sheena, do I do 16 minus 4 next? Why not? Right, because there's multiplication, right? You always consult the order of operations. Parentheses, no. Exponents, no. Multiply or divide, yes. What is 4 times 0? 0. What is 0 times 3? 0. So it actually comes out to 16 minus 0, which is 16. The answer to number 3 is 16. See, understand this. The reason why I do the quizzes like this is because I just gave you 4 problems. I just had you do the 4 problems. Now I'm going to correct the 4 problems in front of you. And even though we're taking a grade here, you know what is the most important thing about this whole quiz process? Is that you learn something. You're paying attention. Yes, you're correcting this and you're making sure you get but you're learning something. Make sense? That's why we do it like this. Number 4. Which is bigger, -8 or -10? Right? Which one's bigger, -8 or -10, Gigi? -8 is, I'd rather owe somebody $8 than to owe them 10. Right? Number 5. Ooh, I see an absolute value here. What's the absolute value of -6? 6. So which is bigger, 6 or 4? Makes sense? Makes sense? Okay. Okay, we're actually going to combine lessons 1.5 and 1.6 today. So I'm going to show you how to do this. All right. Adding and subtracting integers. What are integers again? What are integers again? I shouldn't have just one hand. What are integers? Do you remember, Lauren? Whole numbers. Integers are whole numbers. That's right. So adding and subtracting whole numbers, or integers, you've been doing for a while, right? Kindergarten, 2 plus 1, 3, not hard, right? Okay, in pre-algebra and in algebra, the rub is that we're dealing with negative numbers a lot of times, right? If I have 6 take away 9, a lot of you will just automatically say 3 because you see the 9 and the 6 and you say 3. That's not true. I had 6 and I took away 9. That means that, what does it mean? It means we drop past 0, right? So here's the deal. You need to get the number line locked in your head. You actually have to have a very good grasp of the number line. So let me use some just smaller numbers for us to just quickly do this. I mean, if I said, what is 3 minus 5? You go, okay, this is just how you think, guys. 3 minus 5, that means you go like this. This is where your brain should go. This is one way of wrapping your brain around adding and subtracting integers. And that is that, okay, I started with 3 and I'm subtracting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drops me down to negative 2. Subtraction always goes to the left. Addition goes to the right. Make sense? So you just got to get your brain wrapped around the whole 0 thing. That 3 minus 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is negative 2. Makes sense? Another thing you can do is if you look at this and you go and you notice something, you go, okay, I started with 3, I'm taking away 5. That's going to send me to the other side of 0. Makes sense? That's going to send me to the other side of 0. Another way of writing this is to, another way of thinking about it is to actually switch these things around. You already know it's going to be a negative number. You already know that, right? You had 3, you take away 5. You switch it around and you go, what's 5 minus 3? 2. You already knew it was negative, so the answer is negative 2. Does that make sense? Let's try another one. What if I have 4 take away 7? Here's the deal. If you need to, you can actually go, okay, there's my 4 and I take away 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 3. The other way of doing that would be to go, okay, I already know it's going to be a negative, so you go, what is 7 minus 4? 3. So we already knew it was negative. The answer is negative 3. That is one way of doing this. So then if you know that that is something you're allowed to do, watch what I can do. What if I have a big one like this where you can't use the number line? 48 minus 75. Suddenly the number line it's too big for the number line. Agreed? We don't want to go all the way out to 48 and then start subtracting. That's dumb. So then what? Just because it gets bigger and uglier, the rules don't change. What do we know is true about the answer here? It's going to be negative. We had 45. We had 48. We're taking away 75. That's going to send us into the negative. So what am I allowed to do to answer this? What am I allowed to do? Subtract what? Tell me exactly what to write down. 75 minus 48. I'm allowed to do that, right? Wasn't I allowed to do that before? So I'm allowed to do it now. 75 minus 48. 27. Is my answer 27? No. We'd already decided that the answer was negative. So it's negative 27. It's that simple. Does that make sense? Okay. Things get a little bit uglier. Not uglier. It's just different. When I have negative 12. I'll do a small one. Negative 4 plus 6. Where are we at? We know the answer is going to be a positive. We have a negative 4. I add 6. It's crossing 0. Whenever we have something that crosses 0, you know what I'm allowed to do? I can simply subtract, right? Whenever we have a number that's going to cross 0 like that, we can subtract and make it go 6 minus 4, which is 2. We already knew the answer was going to be a positive, so we're done. Does that make sense? Knowing whether or not the answer is positive or negative beforehand will make this so simple for you. Okay, let's try another one. Let's go negative 38 plus 50. Too big for the number line, right? Okay. What do we know is true about this answer? It's going to be a positive. Do we also know that it's going to cross 0, right? We know it's going to cross 0, so what am I allowed to do? Just flip them around and subtract. What is 50 minus 38? 12. There's my answer. 12. Does that make sense? That's such a simple concept, right? Such a simple concept. Now, here's the deal. Here's the thing. Sometimes they'll have this 6 plus a negative 4. This is what happens here. And I need you to write this down. Whenever you see two plus signs touching, that means add. Whenever you have a plus sign next to a minus sign, it means subtract. Or a minus sign next to a plus sign, it means subtract. If you ever see two minus signs actually touching each other, it means add. I want you to write this down on your paper somewhere. That little chart. Here's what I mean. Look at this right here. I need you to see this, that there are actually two symbols touching there. With no number in between, I have a plus sign and a minus sign touching. Do you see what I'm talking about? That's something you have to deal with before you do anything else. What did I tell you happens if there's a plus sign and a minus sign touching? What does it become? It becomes a minus sign, right? So then this is how I would do it. If I had a problem like this, and I wrote it down just like I have here, I've written this down. Are you all looking up here? I have the problem, I wrote it down. I would look at this, I would circle those two like that, and I would make one giant minus sign. That's what I would do on my paper. The plus and the minus touching, make a giant minus sign. Suddenly, what's 6 minus 4? Do you see what I'm saying? What's 6 minus 4? 2. Okay, it's 2. And that is the answer to this. Okay, let's try another one. What if I have negative 3 minus a positive 8? Okay, so pay attention here. I see something. This is what I say. You should see this and go, ooh, I see a red flag. What's a red flag mean? If some of you were driving down the road and somebody had a red flag waving in front of you, what would you do? You'd stop, right? Okay, you look at this and there's a red flag here. What's the red flag? No, what is the red flag though? The minus and the plus sign touching each other, right? That is a red flag. That right there, those two guys touching each other is something we have to deal with. We have to stop and deal with it. What does a minus and a plus sign touching each other mean? Jade? Minus. Right, we come over here. Minus and plus means minus. Okay. So what do? I make one giant minus sign. If you want to, you can rewrite it and go negative 3 minus 8. I've just changed the minus and plus to a minus. Negative 3 minus 8. What is negative 3 minus 8? Let's look at this. Where's my number line? Okay, so here's 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, 1, 2, 3. Where do I start? How much do I have to start with? Negative 3. Which way is minus?
It's down.
Even more, right? It's this way, right? Minus is that way. So what's going to happen to the numbers? The number itself is going to get bigger, right? What's the next number this direction? What's the next number that direction? Negative 4. The next one's negative 5, right? The number itself is getting bigger. Now, it's a bigger negative, right? So then here's the deal. If we start at negative 3 and we go 8 more that way, this way, right? 8 more this way, what do I do with the two numbers?
Add them.
You add them together, right? So what's my answer?
Negative 11.
Negative 11. Make sense? Okay. Let's look at this. Let me go back and do this one for you. What if I have this? Negative 2 minus 4. Can you guys just look at that and tell me what that is? If I have negative 2 minus 4, what is that? Start at negative 2. Which way is minus again? Even more that direction. Right, what's the answer?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. A lot of people get this one confused. Right? Another way that I think of this, okay, is this. Imagine that I have a table, okay, here's my, oops, I'll do it like this, here's my table. See my table? And on that table, I have a bunch of poker chips. You guys know what poker chips are? Like little circular chips, right? And on the table, I have, well, my poker chips are I either have positive poker chips or I have negative poker chips. Okay? Whenever I'm adding or subtracting positives and negatives, I can use and think with poker chips. Here's what I'm saying. Let's just say that I have negative 5 plus 8. There's my question. Negative 5 plus 8. How many of you know what that answer is? What is negative 5 plus 8? We know it starts with negative 5. We add 8. We know the answer is going to be a positive because, and then we also know it crosses 0. So what can I do? What am I allowed to do here? Subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. We know that, okay? Here's the deal. I want to show you another way of thinking about positives and negatives, okay? Here's the deal. Imagine this. Each one of these guys, we're just adding and subtracting. Each one of these guys, we look here and go, okay, I have 5 negative poker chips on the table. Do you see what I'm talking about? There are 5 negative poker chips on the table. I also have 8, what? Positive poker chips on the table, right? There's 8 positive poker chips on the table. What you do is this. Answer me this. What is 1 minus 1? 0. What is 5 minus 5? 0. What is negative 4 plus 4? 0. What is negative 10 plus 10? 0. Right? So here's the thing. The way that what you can do is this. Every time you have one positive, what is negative 1 plus 1? What is negative 1 plus 1? 0. Right? What we do is this. We start eliminating pairs. If I take off one positive poker chip and take off one negative poker chip, that makes 0, right? Just keep taking off pairs. One positive and one negative. One positive and one negative. So watch what I can do. I'm going to get rid of this guy and get rid of this guy. They're gone. I take them off the table. I get rid of this guy and get rid of this guy, take him off the table. Get rid of this guy, get rid of this guy, take him off the table. Get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. What's left on the table? 3 positive poker chips. What's my answer? 3. Positive 3. Does that make sense? Just grab this. Okay, another way of doing this or thinking about it. What about this? I'll give you another one that's kind of small. What if I have 12 minus 15? 12 minus 16. I know a lot of you know the answer already. Let's do the poker chip deal. I'm not going to draw them all. I just want you to think. What do I have on the table? Tell me everything that's on the table. What's on the table here with this? There's lots of things. What's on the table? If I have, what is 12 minus 16? What's on the table? 12 positive poker chips and 16 negative poker chips. Do you see what I'm talking about? There's 12 positive poker chips and 16 negatives. If I go by and grab pairs, how many pairs am I going to be able to grab here? How many pairs am I going to grab if I have 12 positive and 16 negative? How many pairs am I going to grab, Kyla? 12. I can grab 12 pairs, right? So I grab the 12 pairs, and that leaves me with what's left on the table. What's left on the table? Think. Brad, what's left on the table? Follow my thinking here. I had 12 positive poker chips and 16 negative poker chips. How many pairs can I grab off the table? 12, right? I can grab 12 pairs off the table. Agreed? I can grab one positive, one negative. How many times? 12 times. Once I've taken those all off the table, what's left on the table? What's left on the table? Four negative poker chips, right? There were 12 positive ones and 16 negative ones. When I take off the pairs, what's left on the table? 4 negative poker chips. Are you all following that? There were 12 positives, 16 negatives. When we take off the 12 pairs, the only thing left on the table is negative poker chips. How many? How many?
4.
would be 4 negative poker chips left on the table after we took care of the pairs, right? All right. What then if I have this? Let's do a big ugly one. How did I do that, by the way? If I had 12 minus 16, how many total pairs am I taking away? 12. How did you get that? You see the smallest number, and you take it away from the biggest number. So you go 16 minus 12 is 4. Is my answer 4? No. What's left on the table? 4 negative poker chips, right? Okay, so then let's do a big one. Are we really going to actually put 100, or even think about 175 poker chips on the table and negative 205 negative poker chips? No. But you can kind of visualize it. What's on the table? There's 175 positive poker chips and 205 negative poker chips. When I eliminate the pairs, how many pairs am I going to eliminate? How many pairs are there? How many pairs are there on the table? Think about it. Gigi, how many pairs are on the table? If I have 175 positive chips and I have 205 negative chips, how many times am I going to be able to pull away one and one of each? How many times am I going to be able to pull one of each? I'm 175, right? Because there's only 175 positive chips. So then whatever the smallest number is up here, that's how many I can do, right? Could I pull out 180 pairs? No way, because there's only 175 positive chips. So what's the biggest number of pairs I can pull out? 175. So I'm going to take away 175 pairs. So I'm going to go minus 175, minus 175. There's no more positive chips on the table. All that's left is a bunch of negative poker chips on the table. How many? There's 30. There's 30 negative poker chips left on the table. This is just another way of thinking about adding and subtracting integers. Make sense? Let me give you guys a few samples. Do these for me. It's like a practice little quiz here. These are all questions. This is the odd ones. I give you the easy ones. These are just like the stuff you'll have on your homework tonight. All right, let's just see how you did. The first one, you see any red flags?
Yes.
Yeah, red flag, giant, right? Here we go, bang. Oh, what do I do with that? What does plus minus mean? Means minus, right? So a big, humongous minus sign. What is 2 minus 5? Did you get that? Did you get that? Negative 3? Did you? Yep. Number 2, negative 6 plus 1. There's no red flag here, so you just got to go, okay, all right. Negative 6 plus 1. The number line, right? This is where if you have it in your head, there's negative 6, negative 5, there's negative 7. Start with negative 6. Which way is plus 1? Right? What's the answer? Raise your hand if you got negative 5. Beautiful. Number 3, what do you see? Red flag, right? Plus minus means? Okay. Negative 6 minus 7. They're all negative, right? Negative 6 minus 7, the answer is? It gets people every time.
I got 1.
Right? Because you added, right? Instead of subtracting, you added. Shouldn't there be a giant minus sign here? Negative 6 minus 7. Okay. 235 plus a negative red flag means minus. Okay, let's talk about it. What do we know is true about this? What do we know is true about number 4? The answer is going to be a negative. I have 235, and I am taking away 420. It's going to be negative. So we know the answer is negative. Put a negative down here. Now what am I allowed to do? We know it crosses 0, so what am I allowed to do? Switch it around and subtract. What's 420 minus 235? What's the answer? Negative 185. Make sense? Make sense? Okay. One last thing that we didn't talk about is this. What happens if I have this 3 minus a negative 3? This is a confusing one. I say confusing. First of all, you should see the red flag, right? Two negatives touching. Remember our chart? You should have that written down. What does a negative touching a negative mean? It means add, right? It means add. One gigantic addition sign. This is what I do for real. I do this now. Two negatives touching, boom. One gigantic plus sign. Right? One giant plus sign. What's 3 plus 3?
6.
Okay. What if I have negative 6 minus a negative 4? Okay. What do you see?
Add.
Red flag, right? Got to deal with this. Those two guys, what's that mean? The two negatives means? Add a gigantic plus sign. Okay, now we're back to the basics of what is negative 6 plus 4? Do you see that? Is that going to cross 0? No. So what? The answer is going to be a negative. It was negative 6. I'm adding 4. We're getting closer to 0, right? What do? Well, right, but I actually subtract the numbers, right? What is 6 minus 4? 2. And we know it's a negative. We knew that, right? We knew that. Any questions? Okay. Let me give you your assignment then. Tomorrow we're going to practice this again. I mean, tomorrow there will be a rather large quiz on this. We'll quiz a few times to make sure you get this. This is a concept you've got to have. So here is your assignment. It is page 27 through 29, 13 through 30 even, and page 32 to 34, 3 through 30 even. That might not be true. Let me look. I think it might be 13. I might have written it down wrong. No, it is 3. Okay, so there is your assignment, yeah. No, one big assignment is fine. One giant assignment is fine. Ooh, stop really quick. Turn to page 32. Right now, everybody look at page 32. Numbers 3 through 17. The instructions say use tiles to help you find each difference. You don't have to use tiles. Okay? Just do the assignment. All right.